Sarah's phone buzzed at 3:02 a.m., jolting her from a heavy, dreamless sleep. Her apartment was silent, except for the hum of the fridge down the hall. She reached for the phone on instinct. The light from the screen cut a pale stripe across her face. A notification from an app she hadn't opened in years. It said, "Don't go to the window." Her gaze shifted toward the drawn curtains. Moonlight leaked through, thin and silver. Then, 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the glass. Her apartment was on the 2nd floor. No balcony, no trees. The phone buzzed again. Another message. "It's not me. It's wearing my face." Her mouth went dry. She pushed the blanket away and stood, each step toward the window slow and soundless. Her pulse thudded in her ears. She hesitated at the curtain. For a second, she thought about going back to bed, locking the door, pretending none of this happened. She pulled the curtain aside. Emily, her best friend, standing outside in the air, bare feet hovering inches above the ground. Her smile was too wide, her eyes glassy, like she'd been staring at something for hours. Buzz. Another message. A photo. Her own bedroom window, Emily standing exactly as she was now. But the timestamp said 2 days from now. Sarah looked up again. Emily's smile was gone. Her lips were moving, forming words Sarah couldn't hear. The phone buzzed one last time. "Let it in. We both know you already will." Emily's hand slowly rose. She was holding Sarah's phone, screen glowing, showing a live video feed from inside Sarah's bedroom, from right behind her. Derek had been driving rideshare for years. He'd seen it all. Loud parties spilling into his back seat, polite tourists clutching maps, drunk confessions at 2 a.m. But the woman who slid into the passenger seat that night didn't fit any pattern. She didn't say hello, didn't check his license plate. She just shut the door and stared straight ahead. Her jacket was damp, carrying the faint metallic smell of rain. Her hands were clasped in her lap, so tightly her knuckles were white. Streetlights strobed across her pale face as they rolled through the city. Derek cleared his throat once, twice, nothing. Halfway to her destination, she finally spoke. Her voice was low, like she was afraid of being overheard. "Thank you for helping me get away." Derek forced a chuckle. From who? She didn't look at him, just lifted a trembling finger and pointed to the back seat. From him. Derek's eyes darted to the rearview mirror. Empty. He laughed nervously. "You mean like an ex or something?" She didn't answer. She just kept staring at that empty seat until he pulled up to a dark, unlit building. Without a word, she got out and vanished into the shadows. The next morning, Derek couldn't shake it. He pulled up his dash cam footage. At first it was just rain streaking the windshield, then movement. In the back seat, something crouched low, hiding. It didn't have a face, just a shifting, skin-like blur. As the woman opened the door to leave, the figure straightened, its head slowly rising into view. It turned toward the camera. The blur solidified, eyes blinked open, a mouth stretched wide into a grin. It was Derek's own face. And when the footage ended, the figure was still there in the back seat, still smiling. Jake had been cleaning out the attic all afternoon, shoving aside boxes of old clothes, cracked holiday decorations, and piles of yellowed newspapers. The air was thick with dust, dry, heavy, the kind that scratched his throat with every breath. That's when he found it. An old leather-bound photo album, its cover warped and scuffed, the clasp tarnished with age. He sat cross-legged on the creaking wooden floorboards and began flipping through its stiff, faded pages. Family birthdays, vacations to the lake, summer barbecues. Then one photo made his fingers go still. It was him, maybe 6 years old, standing between his parents at the park. But in the background, barely in focus, stood a little girl. Her skin was pale, almost gray in the photograph. Her hair was pulled back into a severe bun. She wore an old-fashioned dress, the kind you'd expect to see in a museum display, not a park, and she wasn't smiling. Jake frowned. He didn't remember any other kids being there that day. He took the album downstairs, finding his mother in the kitchen. "Hey, do you know who this is?" he asked, pointing to the girl. Her eyes landed on the photo, and the color drained from her face. "That's not possible," she whispered. Jake's voice caught. "Why not?" Her gaze flicked upward, toward the ceiling, toward the attic. "That girl, she died before you were born. We don't say her name." Jake's stomach twisted. He looked back at the photo and froze. The girl had moved. She was now facing the camera directly. Her lips were curled into a smile too wide for her small face. In her hand, she held another photograph. Jake, older now, asleep in bed. The angle was from inside his room, from above, upstairs. A slow, heavy groan came from the ceiling above him. Jake's hands shook as he looked at the photo again. The picture in her hand had changed. Now it showed him standing exactly where he was, looking at her. From the hallway, the attic stairs began to creak. Something was coming down. Maria slid her key into the front door and turned it until she heard the soft, familiar click. Above her, the porch light flickered once, long enough to cast a warped shadow across the door, then went out completely, swallowing the entryway in darkness. She stepped inside, shutting the door behind her. The faint lavender scent she always used in the diffuser filled the air, wrapping around her like a blanket. Everything was exactly where she'd left it. The couch angled toward the TV. The rug she'd chosen on a whim last winter. The neat row of framed family photos along the hallway wall. She set her bag on the kitchen counter, then wandered toward the photos. It was instinct to smile at them. Tiny, frozen memories she'd passed 1,000 times. Until her smile faltered. In every single picture, birthdays, vacations, Christmas mornings, she wasn't there. Someone else was. A woman about her age. Same dark hair. Same olive skin. Standing where Maria should have been. Smiling with Maria's parents, hugging her brother, sitting in Maria's chair at the holiday table. And the longer Maria stared, the more it felt like that woman's eyes were following her. From above, a faint creak echoed through the house. Maria's skin prickled. She lived alone, and her house didn't have an upstairs. Another creak, closer now, like weight shifting slowly across wood. "Hello?" she called, her voice thin in the stillness. A warm, casual voice floated down from the ceiling. "Honey? Who's at the door?" Her stomach dropped. The voice was hers, exactly hers. She looked down at her hand. The key was still there, cold metal pressing into her palm. She hadn't actually unlocked the door. The voice above spoke again, closer this time. "You're early?" From the corner of her eye, she saw movement, something long and crooked, beginning to descend a staircase that shouldn't exist. The shadow stretched impossibly tall, limbs bending at wrong angles. When it stepped into view, Maria's blood ran cold. It was her, smiling. David's phone rang just after midnight. He squinted at the screen and froze. The number calling him was his own. A cold rush of adrenaline hit his chest. At first he told himself it had to be a glitch, a spoofed number, some scam. Still, his thumb moved before his brain caught up, swiping to answer. A single crackle of static hissed through the line. Then, his own voice, low. Urgent. Don't go into the bathroom. David turned slowly toward the hallway. The bathroom door was closed, a thin strip of yellow light spilling from underneath. The fan was off. The house was silent. Then, from inside, movement. A soft scrape. Bare feet dragging across tile. David swallowed hard. Who is this? His voice on the other end came back, sharper now. Too late. The bathroom light flickered, shadows spasming under the door. The knob rattled once, then stilled. David's pulse hammered in his ears. The door creaked open an inch, just enough for him to see himself. Same shirt, same hair, same face. But the smile was wrong. Too wide, stretched almost to his ears. It stepped into the doorway in a jerking, unnatural motion, one foot dragging as if it didn't quite understand how to walk. Its head tilted, studying him like an insect might watch something before it strikes. David's phone buzzed again in his hand. He glanced down. A live video feed, his own hallway, filmed from behind him. The thing in the bathroom doorway wasn't there in the feed. But something else was. Just over his shoulder, in the video, close enough that its grin took up half the frame, was himself. The phone slipped from his grip and hit the floor. Warm breath brushed against his ear, and a voice, his voice, whispered, "Don't turn around." The footsteps began on her first night, slow, deliberate pacing directly above her bedroom ceiling. She lay frozen, listening. Her apartment was on the top floor. There was nothing above her but the roof. The next morning, she told herself it must have been the building's pipes expanding or maybe a raccoon up there. But the second night, it came again. Same rhythm. Step, step, pause, step, step, stop. By the third night, she'd had enough. She asked her landlord about it, trying to sound casual. He frowned, confused. "That's impossible. There's no space above you." That night, the silence in her apartment felt thick, pressing on her ears. She almost missed the first sound, a faint scrape, like fingernails dragging across wood. It came from directly above her bed. The sound shifted slowly across the ceiling, as if something or someone was crawling toward the far corner of the room. Then it stopped, right above her. The air seemed heavier, pushing down. She pulled her blanket to her chin, heart pounding against her ribs. Then the ceiling sagged slightly, as if something very heavy had settled there. Her breath quickened. And then another sound. Not from above this time. From the hallway. Footsteps. Slow, steady, coming toward her bedroom door. The shadow beneath the door stretched long and thin, stopping just short of the threshold. The doorknob rattled once, softly, like a polite request to be let in. Then a voice whispered through the wood, her own voice. "Can I come down now?" Her phone lit up on the nightstand with a single new notification, a video file. Hands trembling, she opened it. It was her bedroom, filmed from above. In the grainy light of the footage, something was lowering itself from the ceiling, head first. Its limbs bent wrong, hair dangling toward the floor, and it was looking straight at her sleeping body.